I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
Back once again with another podcast. This is episode 78 of the It's Time to Refresh podcast. Today we've got Mixmaster Genius, Nicki B.
Yeah, man, it's happening.
This is meant to have happened a while now, hasn't it? Yeah, we've had it in the plans for a while, and this is us just getting down to it.
Mate, I think it's been 12 months.
Yeah. So I'll start like I do with everyone else. What did you have for tea last night?
McDonald's spicy veggie wrap.
You've thought about that, haven't you?
Yeah. I seen the last one and I thought,
Not falling for it.
Yeah.
So you were just saying to me there off pod that you were Ben Jones's birthday bash last night.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I'm feeling a bit worse for wear today, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. First thing he said when I pulled
I'm too old.
But,
we're all right, man. He's a good kid, he's Ben as well. I have a lot of time for him. He's a good DJ as well, a really good DJ.
Yeah. What did I have for tea last night? I can't remember. She made tea and I forgot what I had now. Oh no, I had chippy tea last night. I tried myself being a bit on a diet, so...
Oh yeah. I've seen that on Rob's podcast. How's that going?
Lost. I'll get right into it straight away. I've lost £18 so far, so
That's bang on that.
It's getting stronger as well, because obviously I'm going to the gym and that, so I'm trying to get actively stronger.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So that put a bit of weight on me, so it's
Yeah.
balancing out. So like I do with everyone else, we'll go right back to the beginning for your story. Who's Nicki B and where does it come from?
Originally, I was born on a block of tower flats. Well, a tower block of flats even down Trafalgar.
What's that? Is that?
Yeah, it's down. It's a drive-through McDonald's now, not far from Stoops Estate. That's where I was born, really. Then
Burnley all your life, then? Is that it?
oh yeah, God, yeah. There were a brief time where I didn't live in Burnley, but it weren't for much long. But yeah, I mean, I've always been round here. I've lived up Stoops most of my life. Mm-hmm. I did live up Bruntry for a bit. Back and forward and a few things with life. It were a bit of an hectic life, but yeah, I'm a Stoops lad. All my mates were up here, and yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
I mean, music. If you want to say how the music started,
Where did it come in? So you just said there.
It's like my dad weren't involved in much of my life, but what I can remember, one of my first memories is he used to collect rock and roll stuff.
Right.
And I can remember him buying picture discs. And I can remember it as clear as day, these picture discs, these rock and roll picture discs. So I think that's where it's triggered like a record sort of thing. But my granddad, more than anything, he there's a picture of me actually on my Facebook with headphones on when I was about 3.
I think I've seen you share it.
And I used to go around to it. I used to listen to his hi-fi all the time. John Friedman, the voice, and he used to be into John Vangelis as well, if I remember rightly. So yeah, I'd say my granddad got him into the listening sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't really listen to normal music until 1990, I think it were. I was 5.
Right.
And I can remember my uncle, who's obviously much older than me, he was massively into acid house. He was like teenager when that come out.
Yeah.
And he had a video. He recorded it off MTV. And at MTV at night time, after midnight or something, it changed. And me and my sister used to watch it because it had Weird Al Yankovic on.
Yeah.
He used to take piss out of tunes, didn't he?
Right.
And then after that, it'd show all the current rave stuff. And I can remember seeing these idiots running around with gas masks on tanks alternate.
Right.
So that I used to start listening to that, Prodigies and stuff like that. So that's my earliest memory of dance music.
Right.
And through on then, like I said, I didn't really mess with music until my uncle again, 1995. I can remember the tape, DJ Dougal, Amnesia House.
Right.
1995. I was 10. 9, 10. He said, listen to that. I hammered that tape.
Class.
Every single day. I had SMD on. It weren't happy hardcore then, it was still breakbeater. And that's that's where I started.
That was just sort of early days of the happy hardcore, so it would have been the back end of the breakbeat.
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
wasn't
it would just transition you
Yeah,
onto
yeah.
that the bouncy sort of happy hardcore. And I can remember I used to hammer it, and then every birthday, I used to buy tape packs. I was in primary school buying happy hardcore tape, Elter Skelters and stuff.
Right. Where were you buying these from?
Electron in town.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's Les from Electron. He's what a guy. Yeah, but I used to go down there. I even used to just go in just to read.
Just to look.
Yeah, just to read. I used to go in and get the flyers. I mean, I was 10,
Yeah.
11. There were one lad from my area that was into it, and that's because his brother were mates with my uncle. So we were both into this happy hardcore, and I can remember I used to buy the tape packs with every little bit of money I got. And
So who was a sort of stick out for you then? So obviously said Dougal, the Dougal.
yeah,
ones, no?
yeah, Dougal was the first one.
But then
Brisk
Brisk.
Brisk is my hero.
Very, very
Yeah,
talented
he
DJ.
is. If a lot of people say, and it is true. My influence is off Spanish DJs, but if you listen to Brisk from '94 to '96, you'll understand more where I've got what I play from.
Yeah.
He's one DJ I listen to and laugh how actually good it is. So there was him, obviously DJ Sar, Ixa, I had Old Bonkers, but I used to go. My grandma used to work in a co-op in Burnley. I used to go around on dinner and borrow money off her, like 11, to buy Bonkers free when it come out.
Bonkers Free. That was the first one I heard. Which mix off there though for you?
It was,
Was it the Hixie mix for you?
yeah, but did it have Return to Toy Town on it?
Yeah.
I think it did.
It did, yeah.
But I think it was the Dougal one because it had a lot of the Visa tunes on. All I Need, I think it had on.
Flyaways on the mix, on the Hixie mix, but on the Dougal mix.
It's all I Need is your
think
love.
so,
Yeah. I did prefer the Dougal, and it was the first one Dougal did, I think it
Yeah,
was.
and then Sharky did CD3, and it was darker, and because obviously it had all different elements to
Yeah,
it.
it was that bouncy sort of techno stuff, weren't it? It were happy hardcore, but it were different. They were druid,
darker,
and
yeah.
there were people that
love that.
I'd prefer that sort of stuff than the singy songy happy hardcore. I'm a bouncy techno guy, me.
I love that era of music. It's very melodic, and that's what I'm trying to bring back with what I'm doing with John. I like melodies, and I like the feel good of, like, when you hear the breakdown coming on, say Return to Toy Town, and it just comes in and it instant, just that feeling you get.
Yeah, I'm a riff guy.
Yeah.
I like melodies.
Yeah.
I prefer them over vocals any day.
Yeah.
And there's one tune I listen to quite a lot, and I'm not even going to say the name of it because I don't want anyone to know it. But it's one of them, and it's just a plain old trancy tune, and it's emotional what it does to you.
Yeah,
you know,
even
when you
though there's
listen
no
to
words
it,
and everything, yeah.
I can have a bad day. I listen to that, and it just instantly changes.
Class.
And that's I'm more of a melody riff guy than a vocal guy.
Right, so we're saying you were saying sort of Brisk, then you say Hixie,
Yeah.
Dougal, that sort of crew, which I can sort of think.
Yeah, that went on to 98-ish, and it just changed, did happy hardcore. I weren't into it. They stopped going a bit breakbeat. It didn't sound like happy hardcore to me. So I was a bit lost. I didn't know what to listen to.
Okay. What did you dislike, just so I can sort of gauge?
I don't know.
The sound did change,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it changed massively. And obviously, they tried progressing it, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? But it just weren't happy hardcore for me. It just weren't at all. So I didn't know what to listen to. And I was listening to Hard House, the Dutch stuff, Clubheads and stuff like that. And then I went round to my stepdad's, and one of his mates had a Monrose tape.
Right.
And I thought it was called Melrose. And that was 2000-ish, maybe.
Right, okay.
Maybe 2001. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I heard Blazy on it. And Pete Daly, I think it were.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard MCing like that before.
Right.
And stuff like that. And I thought, what the hell is this?
You'd have heard more the Southern MCs with the Helter Skelters and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, that would just, yeah.
It's
But
a
this stuff,
completely
I was like, what? It was like new generation stuff. What
Yeah.
the hell is going on? The tunes and everything. I can remember it were a blue Mitsubishi tape.
Right.
And I tried stealing it, but he weren't having it.
Yeah.
And from then on, I used to look for Monroe stuff everywhere.
What was it like in this area for? I know Monrose was big, but what was it like getting tapes? Were they readily available in?
Yeah, Electron in Burnley.
Right.
You could get everything in there. I used to go.
Had you
around-
never noticed them before when you were going in for the happy hardcore stuff?
They probably were there, but they were all together, and it's.
Do you not think sometimes you get a bit narrow-minded? Like,
Yeah,
I'm here for
yeah,
this.
of course, yeah, of course. I went in for Helter Skelter. I went in
Yeah.
for Bonkers. I went in for Slamming Vinyl. I went in for
Yeah.
Hardcore Ever. Like, someone pulled out a little Monrose tape. I thought, what the bloody hell's that?
Yeah.
You know, they were little blue cassettes.
Yeah.
Half of them weren't even in bloody cases or prints or anything. You know, and I were buying tape packs. You know, you wouldn't even look at it twice.
Yeah. So then you heard that, and then what happened? What was the? Was it like, this is a bit of me, or I've rediscovered?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
have-
yeah, definitely. I mean, it was all about a bit fast as well when I was younger. I thought this fast music, it's unbelievable. And even now, I've noticed I'm slowing down, even
Yeah.
when I'm playing now, because when I'm getting older. And it was just different. And it was a mixture of styles. They weren't just one style of music. It was just, happy hardcore was happy. I know you had that techno and some other bits. There were all sorts of tunes in it, and styles of tunes and stuff like that. So I started really getting that. I was buying tapes every single weekend. I was buying CDs every single weekend. I was going to parties and recording the tapes while I was at the parties, that
Yeah.
were on. And around 2002, I got a pair of decks. I wanted decks from when I was 10.
Right.
I used to ask for them every Christmas. My mum told me to do one.
Yeah. It's an expensive hobby to get into.
Yeah, well,
isn't it?
yeah. Even when I got to a certain stage where we were DJing, she didn't understand
What it was,
what
yeah.
it meant for me, And but that's, she even comes up to me. She said to me before when I used to live there, she said, "You don't play off of these records." I said, "You should get rid of them." When do you want me to go upstairs in loft and sell your records? She went, "No." I said, "Well, exactly. Do one. You're not a chance."
Yeah. Exactly.
So I can remember I used to ask for him a lot, and she said no. And I left school, and I were an apprentice window fitter, and I bought my mate's decks. They were Citronic PDX, and they had a little mixer. It didn't even have an EQ on it or anything. And I got these decks home.
They're the blue ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them home. No shit. I didn't even know you had to move the pitch to speed it up. I didn't have a clue how to use these things. And I mean, not a clue.
Yeah.
I eventually got it like, and I were MCing at the time. I know you've heard that.
Yeah.
And I did kind of drift away from DJing because I was working in Burnley as an MC. So I was still DJing like at these parties, and I did sell my decks eventually, but I kept all my records. And then I started at Club 53 when I was 16, 17. I was working there I think I was working there every fortnight. And this is where I was working for Lely, Dust Till Dawn. I first met Greenie there, Harry there. There were a lot of good DJs at Dust Till Dawn. And the Saturday night resident, Pinker, that's where I met Pinker. So Pinky got me doing Saturday nights with him, and I used to do the warm-up.
Right.
So that's when I started. This in between this time, I was still doing house parties, and going to my mate's house and stuff like that. So he was doing warm-up. So in this time, I'm going around to people's houses, and there were two DJs in Burnley. There were one called DJ Zest, and my mate Duffy. He was a bit older than me, into Monrose stuff. I used to go up to his mum's during the week. She used to make us tea and that. We used to go at decks all day, make loads of tapes. And I'd say if it weren't for him and another lad who used to live in a pub called Corper, called LDJ, and at the time, he was doing acapellas and stuff.
Right.
I watched him, I
Mixing
thought,
that,
what the hell is he doing? Scratching and everything. So I'd say if it weren't for them two, I would not be DJing at all.
Yeah.
At all. Because I was going down there every week. I was playing in the Corpy with him every week in bedroom and Duffy. If it weren't for them two, I won't be DJing. That is a fact. So in that time, I started doing the warm-up at Club 53.
Right.
And that's where I met Pinker. And I thought I could DJ until I met Pinker. By that I mean you can play music. You can mix any sort of tune, but you can't play it in a club.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Like you turning up to play a warm up and thinking you can bash it out.
Yeah. It's like me going to a tech house, but playing 12 o'clock at a tech house. I wouldn't have a bloody clue what to play.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And he taught me how to DJ.
Yeah.
Showed me, do you know, in clubs and that, and he was a massive influence. He used to work. He used to come in with about 3 record bags. He had a light round his neck. He had a big CD wallet. He were magnificent. He were unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's a very good friend of mine now. He's Pinky. He's a very. I will
So it
touch on
takes
that
you on
later on.
a journey sort of thing
Yeah,
throughout the night.
yeah. So, yeah. He's one of them that will take you on a journey all night, and he's mate. He could mix toffee.
Yeah.
He's that good.
There's a proper like there is like a DJ's DJ, isn't there? Like sort of
Yeah. Just like I always use Pete Monsoon as an example for that.
Good knowledge
He's a
of music.
DJ.
Yeah.
If someone said who's a DJ, Pete Monsoon.
Yeah.
He can mix anything.
Yeah. But the thing is as well, he's reading of a room. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's not just reading a room. The amount of styles he plays and still can read a room. I mean, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Just that's don't matter if you can spin 5 decks, 16. That's how you DJ.
Yeah,
You
reading
know.
the room.
So from then, the club shut. It was a very, very rough gaff. It was banging centre of Burnley. 500 people. I can't remember capacity. 4.5. Every weekend, just Burnley.
Right.
It was rough. There was, yeah.
So that's why they shut it down.
Yeah, basically the police, because there was a heavy police presence outside the club every weekend, the police just basically went to council, and once that's done, it's done.
It's done, yeah.
Yeah.
If they want it closed, it can be
Yeah,
closed.
it's like you can argue all day long. It was gone. So after that, that was the main gaff round here. For Genesis weren't happening by then. I used to go to the under-18s at Genesis.
Yeah.
That's how I was first saw Semper.
Yeah.
But after the club shut, they were like nothing, man. Everyone were like lost. They were what's more now, it were called Excess. Mm-hmm. They didn't touch bounce music at all. Semper used to play there on a Wednesday, I think it was, or a Thursday, and he'd play like his old Monrose sort of stuff there. But over the weekend, there were nothing. Like absolutely nothing.
What year was this then?
2004.
Right.
Literally, Club 53 shut, then Monrose shut. Yeah. Literally within weeks of each other. So it was a massive impact around here, massive. Yeah. And they were just no. And I can remember Carl and Kiefer. Carl was a DJ at the club, and he used to do Mill Bar in town. And he got Fluids Bar with Kiefer. Yeah. Originally, it was them two doing it. And they weren't really pushing. It were bounce, but it weren't heavy-ish, or they kept it quite mild. Apart from on a Thursdays, they used to get MCs down and stuff. And I mean, it's cut a long story short. Carl left. Lewis come in. I met Lewis from the club. You've already known that. So we got in there. We got in Fluids Bar. Lewis was obviously the manager. I was doing the full night on my own, DJing.
Right.
Bear in mind, I've come from doing the warm-up at Club 53.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 5 or 6 hours on my own. So I got my mate Duffy to help me. So obviously, because Lewis said, I need to get my grips on this gaff light. So I were helping him out.
Yeah.
I think we did that. I was doing the Fridays and Saturdays. I did basically all night on my own for a few weeks. And then there were a Thursday. I can't remember the exact date. And it was March 2005. We got Marky B and Jacko down.
Right.
Exposure. And that's when we started recording stuff. That's when we started putting events on.
Yeah.
So we had Base the Bouncing, the Exposure, we had all sorts of people. We had a lot in there for that little bar, to be fair.
Well, so Fluids was the first sort of brand that you associated with.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't a brand at the time.
It weren't. I mean, it was just a bar.
Yeah.
It was like the club. The club weren't a brand. It was just a club.
Yeah.
So me and Lewis were doing this. It was just essentially a bar. It was tiny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would this little place, you could fit 80 people in at a push. And we used to do the Thursdays. And the Thursdays were just like a MCing, just free for all thing. Friday we put an event on. And the Saturdays I stopped doing, because they were playing all sorts of different stuff. And I thought, I don't want to do 3 days a week. And Courtsy were doing it, and Lewis. That lasted, when did that close? Mid 2006. So that closed. Again, there's nothing round here. I think at the time there was Amenity going on at Cube. And obviously there were Farrell was DNA, which were big. People still going Maxine's, but there was still nothing round here. Me and Lewis we did odd little bits here, there and everywhere. There were one at Arsa Bar, which were across road from Fluids Bar. We did one at Calamity Jane's on a Thursday night. So, and it was just spots here, there and everywhere.
Yeah.
We were just literally ticking over.
Yeah.
And in that time, I was just doing little local bits. Amenity picked me up.
Yeah.
And I started getting this name for myself.
Yeah.
Because after Fluids Bar, I felt like I could do a bit more. Because in the bar, you know yourself, when you're playing in a bar, you're getting random walking custom.
Yeah.
I didn't used to play like I do now.
Yeah.
And then when I left there, that's when I started to really push what I do now.
Yeah.
I listened to Desire. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what's this guy on with? He's mixing something. I thought, I've never heard this before. I got all the Lara. I thought, this sounds like this Brisk guy. So that's when I started.
Like digging.
Yeah. But like looking at the record thinking, what exactly can I do different here?
Yeah.
And I was just looking, honestly, I used to just sit there looking at records, just trying doing different stuff. So in that time, it were all happening. And we got Fusion.
Right.
Which is more.
It's more now, yeah.
So that we were in there, and them days were incredible.
So at this point, have you went out of Burnley at this point? So
Yeah, I did a few. Me and Lewis did a few Dickie doos at Crick, and
yeah,
I'd done Amenity and stuff like that, but I'd never been like a wig. And yeah, well, I did Wigan because it were Crick, but a proper big gig. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. You haven't sort of.
No, I've not one of these
leveled
big
up yet.
nights.
Yeah.
I think we did a Thursday night and a Maxine's, me and Lewis back to back because Nelson used to do Fluids. But other than that, no.
Okay.
Then we
I'm
got
just trying to gauge where you were at this.
So then we got in this Fusion, which round here it weren't like it is now.
Yeah.
That were Retro were there, Judge Jules were there. They were.
It's a big club as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, back then I'm not knocking it now, but at the time, if you got in Fusion, you meant something. And we got in there, and it were incredible. It were absolutely unbelievable. And in that time frame, Gramsy did a mix for Sanctuary.
Right.
It was a bonus disc for I think it was Summer Pack. John G did the mix for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard it. Is it studio sessions or something like that?
No, yeah,
I
mate. This is like 2000.
Yeah.
It's mid 2000s.
I can remember it.
So I was doing Fusion. Times Come Alive. I would kind of people can't get to know who I am then.
So you're putting mixes out online and stuff.
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
And so I'm getting my name about them. And in that time,
Carry on, mate. Sorry.
they did that mix. John Guesty did a mix for Gramsy.
Yeah.
And it were a good mix, but Gramsy said, I just can't, what I want to do with it just don't fit.
Yeah.
And he said to Farrell, he went, do you mind if I do it with Nick? Bear in mind, me and Grams live across the road from each other. We've been best mates for years. Mm-hmm. Farrell's clocked onto who I am already, and he had no problem with it. I mean, at the time, Sanctuary were serious bushes. They had DBC with a resident, Alex K with a resident. And he said, do you want man Nick doing it? And I went, are you serious? So we did the studio mix. The pack got released. I can remember Farrell posted it. I can remember he said the pack is worth mine and Grams' CD on its own. I thought, fucking hell, that's all right. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I've heard this CD, to be honest.
It's literally a bonus. It's a bonus CD from the live pack.
Yeah.
So we did that, and literally not long after that, I didn't even enter the deviation. I've never even entered a deviation.
Yeah.
Farrell just said, do you want to do a deviation? I said, yeah, go on then. I'll put you back to back with guests there. For fucking Christ, Jesus. Do you know what I mean? Nice one, mate.
Yeah.
And I did that for set, and after that I went Sanctuary Resident.
Excellent.
Literally, that's what happened.
Can you remember when that was?
Farrell actually told me this not so long ago, how long I've been there. I think he said 16 years ago.
Right, so 2006, 2007
maybe, yeah.
So where was your first home for Sank? I'm just trying to
DNA.
Right.
I'd already done
297 's about
DNA,
right.
but it was for like amenities and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
nothing massive. And then literally, that is how I got a sanctuary resident.
Yeah.
And this is why I always push that deviation. If Farrell wants to put you on a deviation, you know yourself.
Yeah, I do.
He will use you. And if he takes a light to you and he took a shine to me.
Yeah.
So that I was sanctuary resident from then on. I was like, fucking hell, I'm on fluids, I'm on sanctuary, and then I'm getting everywhere.
Yeah. So from there, did you notice it was sort of a step up for you?
Yeah, literally. Like then I'm winning. I won that Time to Come Alive Best DJ and all this sort of stuff.
Did you get the message of Farrell? The one where he asked you to be resident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
I'll be honest with you. I don't even know how that come about.
Oh.
It was. I can remember him asking me to do the deviation. I can't remember for life in me him asking me to be resident, but I can remember doing the first one, and then after that I ran every one.
So who was on the deviation with you at the time?
Oh my god!
Can you remember?
I can only remember being back to back with guests there.
Right. So deviation, what year? 2007.
It was around that time.
So was the lads coming up from your way? Because if it's the right one I'm thinking of, I'm sure was it like Adam C in that on with you?
No.
Or was that later?
No. Oh god, no. That's
2008 then.
Yeah, Coatsy was. See, I taught Coates.
Yeah.
So we were knocking around, but he weren't. That's later on. That's that syndicate stuff.
So 2007. You must have done earlier than that. Then you must be 2006, I think. Because the way I remember it in my head is
honestly. There's that many years. It's 20 odd years. I can't remember exactly when, but
yeah.
that's literally when it were, and I can remember it with DNA. So
how did the set go for you then when you did it?
I was still using vinyl.
Yeah.
My CD wallet was 4 CDs, and I was still hammering vinyl. I used to take my turntables to Fusion.
Yeah.
To use, I was massively into vinyl, and guess they love me. Everyone loved me. So. I'm guessing it went right. I'm not going to toot me on and say it run real because I'll be honest with you, I can't even remember how it went.
Yeah. Can you remember the night at all? Was it like?
I can remember one thing from it. I can remember I played "Is Me Your Laura, I Want to Be Your Love." That's the only thing I can remember of it.
Right. So going forward, then you're saying, as you say, you got the best up and coming DJ.
Yeah. So there were all that going on. Then DNA closed. Mm-hmm. Then I think were still doing Fusion. No Fusion. We were doing the Fluids versus Monrose. We were doing the kids' dues, and it did come to an end in Fusion. Like I said, the dates I can't remember the dates, but Farrell got Syndicate, and he originally got the second room. Do you remember the second room? Did you ever?
No, I never done Syndicate.
Right, there were 3 rooms in Syndicate. There were a small one, and the one where you walked in, and it was an odd room. It was like up and down. It were weird gaff, but he had the middle room, and the other one were upstairs. The main one. And he got that first. He didn't put me on the first one.
Right.
And I think he got over 1,000 people in it. But he even said to me, Nicki went, I'm going to try a bit more commercial. Which at the time, I was still young and I was like, I like playing what I want to play.
Yeah.
And which that was fair play. I'm not, if you don't want to use me, don't want to use me. And he did put me on, I think it was the next one. And I did every one after that in that room. And then he got the main room.
Yeah.
He didn't put me on the first main room, I don't think, because he wanted to see how it were going with some commercially stuff. I think Nick P were doing it at the time.
Yeah. Nick P used to do the one for
he were brilliant.
Yeah,
he were absolutely unbelievable DJ. He were unreal.
So this must have been about mid 2008 at this point.
And he put me on in main room. I think it was the first one. Literally, there's me. I'm 20-something-year-old. Still rocking up with vinyls and stuff. He puts me on after Alex K.
Right, excellent.
So literally, Alex K's on 12 till 1 or something, and I'm on after Alex K.
Yeah.
Playing wild shit, you know? Yeah. And Farrell's even says that's best set I've ever done. And, I was stood there and I walked into his DJ box. There was 4 CDJs, 4 turntables. Well, they had DVD. They had the DVDJs.
Yeah.
And they had 4 and 4 turntables. That and Farrell is what made me that place.
Yeah.
I literally used to practice sets for them 4 decks every single month. If it wasn't for, I like, going back saying, if it weren't for a couple of my mates, if it weren't for Farrell, I wouldn't be here like I am now. No way. He literally gave me a platform.
And you've elevated from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He were he chose me over some of his old time members, and he put a lot of faith in me. Did Farrell, you know, and I were playing a lot of edgier stuff than everybody else, and he, if it weren't for him and Sanctuary and what he did. This is why I'm very loyal to people.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll have Farrell's back all day long. You know, we all go through ups and downs and stuff like that. But he gave me a platform where I don't think he should have done. Because I were playing some weird shit and I were pushing it boundaries. I was playing hard style in bloody Syndicate sometimes. You know, I proper pushed it. Yeah. And I'll never forget that. I used to literally go in that Syndicate and practice for 4 decks, and I used to have all 4 on.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I started getting my confidence.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I thought I don't give a shit. I'm playing 5 decks, whatever. You know, I used to proper hammer it. So that Syndicate Farrell, if it weren't for that time period, I wouldn't be what I'm doing now.
See, this is where I think I started hearing about you, the Syndicate days.
Yeah, that's where I went. I blew up because I was rocking up, and I had 4 decks going on at the same time, and I was jumping around like a lunatic. And that's when I was doing something nobody else was. Yeah, you might say I was doing a bit of Spanish stuff and stuff like that, but there was no one doing it. And there weren't literally anyone doing it. Guess they used to play bits of Spanish and, you know, stuff like that. And he can knock a 3-deck mix out, no problem.
Yeah.
But I was throwing all sorts in with it. I was throwing the BCD in it and stuff like that. I was throwing all sorts. So I did sound completely different than everybody else. And that's where I found my niche in that Syndicate.
Yeah.
Because I could find out what I could throw in. Because it were a weird crowd in there. If you could get them going, there were 2,000 people in there. So I did find my niche in there, and that's where I'd say my sound really grew. So, and I blew up. Then next minute I'm on Bound 7, I'm on everything. At the time I was on Bound 7 main stage, and I was the only non-producer at the time.
I can remember the early
yeah,
days.
they were all producers.
Yeah.
And there was one, I think the first one I did were Halloween. I did the Room 2 a couple of times, but the main room back then it was forbidden gold. You got on in there, you were somebody. It was ruled by people like Rob.
Yeah.
You know,
bad behaviour. Yeah.
You know, and
hyper DJs, they were part of it as well.
Yeah, and fair play to AJ at the time. We were pushing them people who were making music. I think he went down that hardcore sound route, and it were working to a degree. And then literally next minute I thought, I've never made a tune in my life, and I'm on stage with all these producers.
Yeah. That was always a big goal for me when I started producing. It's like as a DJ, I was like Sanctuary was the one. Sanctuary is for me.
Yeah,
and it's the most. If I'm doing a DJ set where it's not my productions and stuff, that's where I can experiment the most.
Yeah, with it. I've always said this online. You know, where people go on about you know, your hard nights and people going on, you know. Even like, you know, go hard or go home and stuff. Farrell started that.
Yeah.
Farrell was the first multi-genre. You even go back to Crick, it was the most multi-genre night out there.
Well, obviously, I've had a few different guests on in the past, and we'll talk. I had Stephen J on, for instance, and he said that when they were doing Zone, it was you had to play this set of tunes, or to play a 4-play, you have to play this sort of tunes.
I can't stand Italian.
I love it.
I can't stand it. See, I were hardcore.
Yeah.
I were hardcore in mid-90s.
I love it all, mate.
Yeah. So, you know, and literally, that's where a lot of, you know, it were like Monrose in early days. Monrose were just everything. It were hard house, trance, they would not bounce.
Yeah. But Sanctuary was the first place I discovered a lot of things. So for me, I discovered, say, Shock Records.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
But I mean, this stuff's from 99 and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is where I got it from as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'll play something from 1999 now. And people are going, what's that? I said, mate, this tune's like 30-year-old.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? But yeah, Farrell was, he was the pioneer of that.
Yeah.
Sanctuary was,
you
know, you had me, Guester, Bon. You name any qualities of that, we're all the same. Even now, there's me, you, John Neal. There's no...
Yeah,
absolutely no one sounds the same.
Well, I noticed that when we were in the cantina, the last event, you went on. Straight away, you can see where your followers, your niche, sort of come to the front, and that's when they get involved. And then John Neal was on after you, I believe, if I remember rightly. And
No, Hannah Taylor.
Hannah. Oh, sorry, was it John G on before you then?
No, Bon were on before me.
I can't remember. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just misremembering it. It's so it was John G, Bon, then you.
Yeah.
And each time you could see how the
Yeah.
dance floor moved.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can remember back in the day, like John. A lot of these young lot don't understand. Guest there was one of the best DJs out there. He used to. He was the most multi-genre.
Versatile.
He was
isn't he?
unbelievable.
Yeah.
He did drift off from. He fell out with new stuff, and it was a goddamn shame because I used to love Guest there. I still do. He's one of my favourite people ever.
Don't worry, I'm pulling him back.
I love Guest there. I absolutely adore him. But he would. I mean, you listen to some of these old Sanctuary tapes. He was a boy.
Yeah.
You know, but people called his eye mate. But John G was a boy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you an interesting fact. John G used to lend Desire the records to play. Did you get what I mean?
He's a knowledge, like he's definitely.
Mate, yeah, he is.
I obviously he won't mind me saying this because we talk every day. He was telling me like obviously I was a big fan of it when he started playing the hard dance stuff, like the technical and that sort of stuff. And
he did go that way, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Very forward thinking.
Yeah.
And then obviously he started to like stagnate and like play the classics and play. Do you know what I mean? And then in 2000 and just after COVID, he came back, and I remember we were in Black Box. You were there. Bond was
he
there,
was playing new stuff.
And as soon as he dropped some of the new stuff in. And I just looked at it.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa.
I went, what's going on here? I said, you all right?
But he found his love for it again. And do you know something? He's probably better now than he's ever been, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you the Syndicate thing was going on. What came next? What was the next thing in your story where you're like, oh, so this is
Syndicate. So what happened after Syndicate? I was still. We left Syndicate. Farrell's always give me work. We were going Barrow, he were putting me on in Darlington. I think in that time frame, there were a time, I think it were when we were in Syndicate. So I was still pretty new in Syndicate. I was still getting that name. And I got a gig at Point in Sunderland. Bear in mind, I'm still playing some records and that. I were a bit unsure. And Gramsy were on in Darlington first. So we went to Darlington first. We're talking to Farrell. And this is the best advice I have ever had. So if anyone's listening, listen to this. I said, Farrell, I don't know what to play. I said, I'm going to go up there. I said, I'm generally worried. He went, who've they booked? I went, what do you mean? He said, well, they booked you, haven't you? I went, yeah.
They booked you for that reason, isn't it?
He went, they've booked Nicki B. He said, so do you play whatever? And I thought, he's fucking right. He's actually right.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually thought, then that's the way I've gone about stuff now.
It cuts the difference up between your Friday, Saturday night like pub jocks where you've got
but when you're going
to
up,
keep people in.
But the thing is, and you've said this on another podcast. You go 2 hours up the road, the music changes so much.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've never been into the North East, and all I think with these, all these idiot lunatics who listen to Makina.
Yeah, Makina.
Yeah, but I know Wiggy were doing it at the time. Fitzy were big up there.
Yeah.
I know Rob were going up there often. So I just thought I ain't got a clue what to play because it is when you like even if you come down here and you did the Sopranos down here, the music is just completely different. You know, I'll play something different at Sopranos than I'll play somewhere else, and it was daunting when I was first doing that.
Yeah,
because I weren't as much confident in throwing anything in back then.
Yeah. The thing is though, it's because you're going to these new places. I found this when I first left Cumbria. I remember coming down to Accrington and playing, or was it Burnley? I don't know, Accrington or Burnley. It was, and I remember playing Alex K's version of Summer is Magic, and then other DJs looking at me because it's like, no, we play a bit harder here, and it was like, I play me, mate.
Well, yeah, exactly, man. Don't book you to come down and start playing a lot of pop.
All the lasses on the dance floor loved it, so I don't know. But then I did notice that you have to sort of adjust ever so slightly to where you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can. If I'm doing the Sopranos in Burnley, I'm playing Sopranos, and I know full well what I can get away with. But, you know, if you're playing some weird place... Flamingos, right? Flamingos is a tough one. I always find it pretty tough in Flamingos. If you listen to some of my stuff in Flamingos, I'll play something different each month. It's a lot of walking custom in Flamingos. It's hard to keep people dancing in there.
Yeah.
It's really hard. once they go, you can't get them back. So it's like stuff like that. Yeah, but if there were a sanctuary in Lancaster, I know I can step it up in Lancaster.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of that's your learning curve, and that is a lot of experience.
I think that you were saying about the point, though, when you said about the point, because you've never been there, you don't know if it is a walk-in bar or if it is a club event sort of thing. There is a big difference there.
Yeah, of course there is.
Yeah.
So we went up to this point. Have you ever seen that place?
That put the point?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, honestly, no.
It's this big place. It's this big building. It says Point. I walked in. It's this big glass thing in the middle of the dance floor. You're up in a balcony. You've got dancers. I thought, I'm from Stoops Estate, mate. I thought, what the bloody hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
And there were a bouncy castle on. It was well good.
It sounds classy for
Oh, mate, it was well good. To be fair, every gig up the northeast is unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're lunatics.
Yeah.
And they love it. But when they don't get people like me and stuff like that often, so when you go up there,
It's a special occasion.
yeah, mate, they absolutely love it. I've got some good friends, Ollie and stuff like that. They're good people, and you get treated really well up there. So that were a big learning curve, that going to Sunderland.
How did the point go then in the end?
Yeah, we're banging.
So when
They actually, I rocked up with Gramsy, and they said, "Can you play Turn It Out? We wanted to do Nun song, so you're the Nun round."
Yeah.
So we ended up doing that, and then I just thought, bollocks to it, I'll play whatever.
Yeah.
And there were people jumping off blood bouncy castles and that. So yeah, we're right. But after that, I've done too much. I think was Sanook come along.
Yeah, that was that. So when Syndicate went, it came to Sanook.
It went to Sanook. Yeah. So
2010, 2011.
Yeah. So was Farrell the first one to do it there, or were it Frequency the first? I'm sure Frequency did it first.
You know something?
I think they did. I'm sure John and that did it first.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. Well, I can remember Farrell getting in there, and that was. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really like it much in Sanook. It was weird. I used to get lost.
Did you? That was my first. That was the Sanook was the first one I went to for Sanctuary.
Yeah, it used to get busy in that, but it's like when you're DJing there, you see a totally different side of places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these people who go, they'll have an amazing night, but when you're behind, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I can remember me and John used to go back to back a lot in them days, and this is when bounce were declining.
Yeah.
It were 2011.
2010, you sort of had a pinch. 2011, that was it.
2010 is when I bought Tractor. So I was using CDs. I used to hate CDs. And then literally I seen Ismail Law in Syndicate. So this is just at the end. And he was using Tractor. And I thought, I'm into that. Because they were time codes.
Right.
They weren't a controller then.
Yeah.
And
is that on like a digital vinyl system?
Yeah, no, yeah. So it's a sound card. You plug your
your
CDJs, and you get it's like a time code CD. So there's a frequency that picks the. So anyway, he was using that, and I was intrigued by that. And I did a 4th deck vinyl set, and I've got these Spanish guys all giving me jumping up and down with me. They were amazing. That it closed. We went to Sanook, and that's when it ran its arse. It weren't it?
Yeah.
It were bad. Literally. A lot of these people won't know. They were like literally, and I don't really want to sound big-headed, but they were literally me, John, and Rob, who were really pushing it.
Yeah.
It's like Rob. I've always said me and Rob are very similar, but completely different at the same time.
Yeah.
We both like Marmite. You either like us or you don't. And he plays the complete opposite to our play.
Yeah.
But do you get what I mean? So there were us three doing that. A lot of people legged it, Brad. And they did. Pier shut down. There were no Pier. A load of it. Everyone were doing Sunrise.
Yeah.
They were literally like me, John and Rob still just graphic Farrell. Mate, we were turning up to places. We weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I can remember the time. That's when I got into it.
Yeah.
So I just thought...
Everyone were recycling Fitzy crap. It were pop donk Fitzy stuff. Not talking... I think Fitzy and Ross are unbeliable, but it was proper...
We've talked about it on there.
It was recycled, just
their samples.
It were dinky lead riffs. It was... I couldn't play it. I just could not play it.
I remember going to Sanctuary, nothing against Sanctuary, by the way, but what I'm going to say, but I think the first one I went to, with the lineup that was on, it should have been absolutely rammed. But it was in them days. Farrell, testament to Farrell, he rode that out
in some seriously bad times.
Yeah, exactly.
Like seriously bad times.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That guy lost some money just for the love of what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of people would have fucked it off.
Oh mate,
but then,
honestly, I've been there and we've not took money off him or it was that bad in them times, right? Me and John are very, very good friends. And not many people know this. Back when we used to take turns on who'd get cancelled. So if we were both at the same gig and that, we'd say, Nick, you can do this one if you want to. John, you can do this one. We used to take turns so who'd get cancelled. Do you know what I mean? We were rocking up and we were getting paid short and stuff like that. I still loved it. You know, and I don't even know how Farrell survived, I'll be honest with you. He tried the Nick Skits thing.
that was later on that,
and it struggled a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
it really shouldn't have. If you'd done that now, whole different story.
Mate, you put Nick Skits on the Reminisce, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, some of that, imagine Nick Skits in 051.
The class.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Farrell had him on 3 events in over the bank holiday.
I know.
You know, and you know, I don't think people give Sanctuary enough nod as he did because he rode that out in a time where it was bad.
There's two sides to it as well, though. He rode it out in the bad times, but he was still being innovative at the same time. He's bringing the likes of, say, Technical, Ben Stevens, and like the hard out, bringing the hard and trying to get a different clientele to push it.
Yeah, Farrell's always been like that though.
Yeah.
Even if you go to DNA, you know, people talk about lineups and that now. Farrell has always had the best of the best on. You tell me about a lineup. His monthly lineup at DNA was Alex K, DBC, Ultrabeat. That was Residence. That's unheard of. You know, and he's always done that. He tried MC Bonds. We won't talk about that. But he's tried that much different stuff. And you know, and he's tried and failed sometimes. And he's also tried and he's got a big win.
Yeah.
You know, and at them times it were dark times. You know, you could literally go to a place in Accrington, it'd be packed.
Yeah.
But you go to, you know, like Century put on a massive lineup and nobody were going.
Yeah.
And then a little
did you do Pier?
I did do Pier.
So what year was that?
This was. I did a Frequency at Pier.
Yeah.
I did an Overdose at Pier. I did a Sanctuary at Pier. And I did a Sopranos and Monrose at Pier.
Yeah.
The Sopranos and Monrose at Pier.
Week before it shut down, innit?
Me and Harry were back to back.
Yeah.
We took a turntable each to play vinyl. We were the last ever people to play vinyl on us on turntables.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played there a few times. I was actually part of the monthly thing at one point.
Yeah.
You know, I think they were.
They put a flyer out and what's on.
I run that a few times. So, but I mean, that was unfortunate. It was a good place. That that was one of the best places I've ever DJ'd. But that fell through. Mate, I have been to Pier and there was 20 people in there.
Yeah,
you know,
they were bad times. That's just what it is.
You know, people think this BTRD, and I think what Martin and Ben have done, what they've done,
blew what Wigan Pier was out the water completely.
People might think it was, you know, me and Sopranos and stuff like that have a problem with them, and we actually don't. I really respect what they do.
Yeah.
They have their own thing. They've got their own niche. They don't need people like me. It's their own thing, and you can't knock that. You know, that's mega events, then.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think people used to realise they were, you know, they were a peer event and there were 20 people there.
Yeah.
You know, it were bad.
Yeah.
You know, people were losing.
It's a recession in it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Maybe we weren't even in a recession. You know, just the music were bad. It were.
I think the whole bouncing. I think it went through, as you said, that the pop donk fitsy.
Yeah, it were.
I think it did.
I used to call it Blackburn bounce. Everyone from Blackburn used to. No offense to Bon and Greenie and that lot, but it were just. It were like it were pop donkey dinky lead stuff.
Yeah.
It were crap.
Yeah,
it was crap.
But yeah, and it's sort of like it went a bit too commercialized, and then obviously with the financial situation of the country, it's sort of a downturn. A lot of people went and started doing like the jacking stuff, like you said, Sunrise.
Everyone jumps on that.
Yeah.
You know, and I probably could have done well playing that, but it's what I've tried playing it. I cannot play something I don't enjoy.
Yeah. To be fair, I like it, but it's not something I do personally.
I could listen to it in car, you know, or in here or something. And I've tried playing it. I started doing a CD and I thought, I'm just not enjoying it.
Yeah,
I can't physically play something I don't enjoy.
Yeah,
You've seen how I play. I jump around like a bloody lunatic. I
Yeah.
can't play something I don't enjoy. So I weren't going to that. Bounce music's what I loved.
Yeah.
I stuck at it. And believe me, mate, it were bad. We even, Lewis put on a night in Burnley, a clubland night. That were good. It were few and far between.
Yeah.
Then
Sopranos must have come around about
Well,
now. 2010.
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
There was an idiot from Great Harwood called Matt Cheese.
Right.
He was,
So did you know him before this?
well, I knew Morgan and Rebel because they had a XL vinyl in Great Harwood. They were a record
Yeah.
shop. Cheese used to work in there.
Yeah.
So I kind of bumped
Seen
into
him
him
more,
from that.
yeah.
I don't think he even knew we were a DJ at the time. And then I started seeing him doing CDs. Phil Mack did a couple of nights at the Sopranos Bar.
Yeah.
And can't remember exactly what
Was it Emotion?
it was. Now, I can't remember exactly why Phil bagged it off or whatever. Cheese started doing CDs on a Thursday, recordings on a Thursday night. I did the first one, and I think I did the first three. And we're on there from get-go. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the lineup's changed. I'm longer serving there, but that's literally it. He just come at a time where he weren't putting any big names on. I think, if anything, I was probably the main guy, the biggest one on there. But there were a few local lads, and I think he just it was just the right place at the right time, I think.
Yeah. It was small enough to be successful,
Yeah.
but not big enough to fail.
Yeah, I think what it were with the bar, the Sopranos Bar, it was local to Blackburn, Burnley, and everything and stuff like that. He had some good local DJs on.
I remember the early days where there was like Yanis, that Chino, he was good as
Mate,
well.
I was just going to mention him. Chino was absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd say if there were, there's a couple of complete wasted talents, and Chino is one of them.
Misen, that's sort of the
Yeah.
early
So you
days.
had, I mean, Yanis blew up at the same time as me.
Yeah.
He got on with Frequency, and Pier did a new breed thing one month, and it was me and Yanis.
Right.
So me and Yanis like come through at the same time, but it was I went Sanctuary, he went Frequency,
Yeah.
So I mean I still you out for Frequency every now and again and stuff, but that's how it went.
Yeah.
And then obviously Cheese were putting your local lads, and I think Deck Evans were on as well. Phil Mack was on.
Yeah.
Adam C.
Yeah.
So we'd all go. I were on. Who else? And then he'd have a few Bolton lads. Siddy.
Yeah.
Siddy, he's another one. Complete
Class.
waste of talent.
Class.
Complete waste of talent. And I just think he hit a niche in a little bar.
Yeah.
Where all the mates would go.
And like a rush pit as well. At
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
time.
I don't like the rush. I don't like calling something rough pit, but
No, but that's what.
yeah, it were. The bar was.
It wasn't Clubland. It was like faster.
It were.
Faster
We were
and
playing
darker.
at 158.
Yeah, it's darker as well.
No, this is where my Blackburn bounce term comes from, because them Sopranos, they were not. I was the only person playing hard stuff there, and well, Marzon used to play a few bits, and Yanis used to knock out, but I was pushing a lot of the harder stuff, So I think that's where that sound come from. And then, I mean, the bar, if any of you ever went, the sound system used to cut off all the time. It were horrendous.
Yeah.
But after that, it got Warehouse 1.
Yeah. So this was 2012.
Yeah, so this is still in the sticks, where in between Sanctuary, and I was doing a couple of frequencies. I think I did a frequency. Is this in Liverpool? I can't remember. Isis or Asis, it's one of them. Just it was just to and far between. I think Medicine were going on that time.
Yeah.
But I weren't really involved in that. I did it a couple of times, but that was its own thing. Yeah. So, it were. So Warehouse 1, and that just took off.
Yeah, it got really popular quick.
It was a hellhole. You used to walk into a 2x4 hanging from ceiling, and
I like Warehouse 1 though. I think that was.
It was a hellhole, but it was a good hellhole.
Yeah.
The sound system were horrendous. It stunk of shit.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was bounce music.
Yeah.
So it was, and he used to fill it, like literally fill it. He'd never used to. He'd spend no money on promo. He'd just put a flyer up, and I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
I literally don't know how he did it, and it just took off from there. And he smashed it at Warehouse One. Absolutely smashed it. They were really good days then, But you were going to Warehouse One, this den in Blackpool, with just like cheesing everyone on, and then going to a big gig in Liverpool, and there were no one there with a massive lineup on.
Yeah.
That's how mad it were back then.
Yeah.
So after that, where are we going now? 2000. That's 2011, isn't it? 12.
That was 2012. Yeah.
So I'm using Tractor then. So we're going through that. Then what? Where's Sanctuary then? Sanctuary's still at Sanook, I think.
Yeah, it is in 2012.
Yeah, but
It shut in 2012, I believe, and then
Yeah.
2013 it moved.
yeah. It's because it did get the it changed the domain, didn't it?
Well, they never went back there originally, did they?
No,
They didn't,
no, they did. He did leave. I mean, to
Yeah.
be fair, mate, that when it was Sanook, they were. I can remember one time me and John were back to back in there, and the CDJs used to move pitch on their own.
Yeah.
So you'd sit there, it'd be like going from +1 to 2 to 3.
Yeah.
It would just guesswork in there.
Yeah.
But it needed gutting and starting again.
Yeah.
And so I think he left there, and he went to Maxine's.
Yeah,
He
for a
did
little
go
bit.
to Maxine's, and that was. I could be wrong with dates, and I might be getting mixed up. There's just too much, but it didn't. It were hit and miss at Maxine's, and sometimes he did alright, and sometimes it were good. And Maxine's around its arse, and it were
Yeah.
done. So, but he did give it a good go. Did Farrell, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then
So that'd have been 2014.
yeah, but he got in Flamingos around that time. I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Did you do it when the DJ box was where the stairs are?
Do you
Do you know when you go up the stairs?
Yeah.
The DJ box was there.
Honestly, mate, I can't remember the first time I went in there, to be honest with you.
He got it there, and the first one I did, I walked in, and I thought, this is alright, this place. I walked into the toilet, I could see, it's all glass in it.
Honestly, my mind's shit. I don't know.
But you go up, next time you go into
Yeah.
Flamingo's toilets, it's all seafood glass.
All right.
So I went up to Farrell, and he said, yeah, bar. He went, yeah. I went, fucking Jesus Christ. And I was on early. I played Funky House.
Yeah.
I played like a fast Funky House set.
Class.
And his mate went, because I had Tractor,
Yeah.
that's when I started proper, I could throw anything in.
Yeah.
I had a terabytes worth of tunes.
Yeah.
So when I played a Funky House set, it went down really well. And he did a few at Flamingos. And then where did he go after that?
I think he was still looking for a home for
He was.
for the thing. I think the next play, because obviously he done stuff in Carlisle, he done stuff.
Yeah,
in,
yeah. I mean, Farrell were he was in with with Halo. He used to
Yeah,
do with
Halo,
as well.
Warrington.
But there was all it was all the same franchise.
Yeah, Illuminati was it?
Illuminar, but they went bankrupt,
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
they? But he used to do all that because they were the same company that did the Darlington one.
Yeah.
So he used to do all them. We did a few in Lancaster. Yeah. But he were here then and everywhere, Farrell. And I can't remember.
I think the next home was Domain after that. I think.
I
I think
possibly.
so.
See, when it was Domain, it was like a different club. It was well better.
Class, yeah.
It was well better. When that DJ box went upstairs, it was
Yeah.
so much better. Even the courtyard and everything were a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
So it were decent in Domain. But I mean, in that time, Sopranos moved. Where did Sopranos go?
They went to Rio's.
Shit,
Yeah.
See,
2015.
there's too much.
Yeah.
Rios were decent.
I liked it there, but it was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah,
where
you'd
it was
walk
and
in.
stuff.
You'd walk in, it'd be like Narnia's chest,
Yeah.
and then it's just this long thing. And it were good in Rios. It did actually do well in Rios.
I went to a couple of them nights.
Yeah, it were a weird gaff, but it did do really, really well. That's why he started pushing a few bigger names as well, I think.
Yeah.
Because he does like to chop and change cheese at times, and he did well there. And I think that's when he went on to Maud. I'm positive.
Well, he obviously done Fluids and Sopranos at Fusion.
Yeah, yes.
So that was his like sort of first taste of it. In
really-
2012, that.
Yeah, but it was Fusion then, weren't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
So it weren't even the owners that I read.
No.
So it weren't Rebecca.
No. So then they went to Rio's, and then the secured.
Mate, I should know all this, shouldn't I?
I know. Then the secured mode after that.
Yeah, and we did Wow, we were at Maud.
I'm not a bad historian, am I?
No, mate. I've killed too many brain cells for this. We were there for a long time, and he absolutely smashed the living hell out of Maud.
Right. So the first one, what was the? Can you remember the first mod that you did?
It was called Vogue then,
Yeah.
and I cannot. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
So in this time frame, I remember you were releasing. You did. We're talking the sort of 2012, 2013, 2014. You did. They did Parda Lounge as well in thing.
Yes.
Because you did demonstration of Sopranos.
Yes. Now, I mean that's mate. I've even forgot about that. Yeah, we were doing me and Gramsy used to do the demonstration CDs.
Yeah.
And that was just something we just come up with. We just used to live across the road. We were best mates.
Yeah.
We were yin and yang. Me and Gramsy. Do you know what I mean? Me and Gramsy have grown up very, very similar. With childhood experience and stuff, and me and Gramsy, we are literally like two people from the same cloth, and we've just gelled, you know, and we were just lucky enough that we lived across the road and we were travelling doing music together.
Yeah.
It were amazing, you know what I mean? And we were literally, he used to come around have a beer with my mum and everything. He used to go around and sit with his granddad. You know, it were amazing. You know, the first, as much, I mean, my relationship with, I know we're going off a bit here, but my relationship with Gramsy, we were always boys. We always used to go out, but we weren't as close as we was. And he started emceeing, and now we're working in the club. And I asked him one Saturday night, I said, do you want to give us a hand with it? I said, I'm doing warm-up and that. I said, me and you'll do it, like. And he said, yeah, come down. He did it all night. I used to get 60 quid for my wage. So I went up to him, I opened my envelope in front of him. I give him 30 quid. He went, what's that for? I said, I get paid 60 quid. I said, you give me an hand all night, man. I said, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, no one's ever done all that for me before. Ever since then, we were just...
Mates,
that's you know, like proper good mates.
Yeah.
You know, and that's we went everywhere together. You know, we got some good memories with Gramsy. You know, and fortunately, he's past all this stuff now. You know what I mean? So, but he's a successful guy. He's Gramsy. He's doing well. So
he's going to come on here, by the way, just so you know.
Oh,
let people know. He said to me, what was he said? Are you sure you want to unlock this? The depths.
There was one time. We did the Sopranos at the Parda.
Yeah.
There's a clip of this interview. They said we want to interview you and Gramsy outside, and I knew what we're going to go down. I went. We were in Cartway there. I said, do these fucking people know what's going to go down? I said, because I don't think they have a clue.
Yeah.
And there's a clip of it. They didn't release the interview at all.
Yeah.
Then there's just a clip of Gramsy got on about being in touch with ancient beings, and I just...
Yeah.
It will get weird. Prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Very, very weird.
I've had to set aside, because it will all go out, but at the same time, I'll have to just see how deep it goes.
Yeah, mate. You will get lost in a rabbit. I've been round to Gramsy's house, and I have got lost myself just being there.
Yeah.
I've got lost in... Oh, God.
It's class.